Welcome, welcome. Here you go, Corey Mio, my friend. How are you doing? Have a good day. How's it going out there?
Carl, pleasure to be here finally on Carl's Wine Club. Come
There
on,
you,
baby. Hook,
there
hook,
you
hook. Let's
go.
go.
We're here.
Love it, man. Long
Fuck,
time to make it.
I'm so happy to chat with you because our path crossed multiple times. I've been hearing about you for years and both side of the country, and we're finally here talking about your wine, talking about your legacy, talking about your project. So, hey, how you doing, man?
We're doing good. Yeah, it's been a challenging season out here in Niagara, and just trying to adapt as always to the new normals we get every year.
I think you're
How are
bang
you
on
doing?
that. Adapting is the name of the game for sure, my friend. So, hey, I want to know. So, I know that for many growers and winemakers right now in Ontario, it's been like you mentioned, a little challenging. Uh, so, can you recap for us a little bit the growing season for you so far in 2026? What are you experimenting?
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, it was a protracted and kind of classic cold winter here in beautiful Beamsville, Ontario. And, I feel like we had a bit of an early bud break because we had a warm week there in April when things want to kind of start to wake up. But then we had one warm week and then it was cold for like the next six. So we had like three really close, really, really close calls, like pushing the maximum at that stage of bud development, woolly bud stage of
Yeah.
potential damage, right? So I
Ah,
feel like
they
this
kept
year.
you, the Mother Nature kept you on your toes the whole freaking time since the very beginning this year, eh?
Oh yeah, yeah. It was not a fun winter to be out there pruning for sure. We had a lot of snow too, so when you're
Yeah.
out there, it's like snowshoeing. By the middle of February if you're out there, right? So it's a lot of exercise. So yeah, no, it definitely kept us on our toes. A lot of sleepless nights, and and then yeah, at some point you just got to let go and see the way it shakes out, man. And I don't know, it's been so unbalanced. That's the thing. So many challenges this year, and I see it like reflected in kind of, I don't know, maybe climate instability and stuff. Right? We have periods of like really unseasonably cold, wet weather, followed by like insane humidity and like 40 degrees for a week or two, and then crazy rainfall that like you wouldn't normally get at certain times. And anyway,
Pretty
that's
much, they throw pretty much everything at you.
yeah, yeah. And then you see weird things happen in the vineyard. Like okay, maybe down east in some blocks that I've never seen it before, but like tons of phomopsis. But the weather should be more conducive to powdery, but we're not seeing any powdery anywhere. So I don't know, man.
Oh, no.
More questions
So
you have.
Corey, just to put things in perspective, you are a grower first and foremost. I mean, the Mio Vineyard, we've been connected with Mio Vineyard, specifically with Thomas Batchelder, back like all the way back to 2019 or 2018 vintage. So we love the Chardonnay that Thomas put with your vineyard name. But I also knew through the grapevines that you also have some Rhone varietals on the property. So can you tell us a little bit, Corey, the Mio Vineyard, the whole philosophy, your growing philosophy, and what do you have growing on your property?
Yeah, 100%. So, my wife Lena and I, we have like a twin focus because we both have two different grapes that we love in Niagara. So, for me, my first love was Chardonnay, and hers was Cabernet Franc. Um, Both of these grow really well in the Niagara region. So we endeavored when the opportunities came up that we were going to explore those two grapes through the lens of clones, right? So, prior to about 4 or 5 years ago, the government used to regulate what clones and what varieties you could plant. And then they changed the rules around 2021. So for us, my philosophy was always like, okay, if you want to try to express, if the goal is to express a sense of place, right? That's maybe the whole overarching, theme behind terroir. And the grape, is just a vector to be able to express the sense of place. For me, I always thought you would want as many different expressions of the grape as possible to be able to better, express the sense of place. So, I'd like Chardonnay from Italy. I'd like Chardonnay from America. I'd like Chardonnay even from Australia, or etc. Right? And obviously love Niagara Chard. So, with that in mind, we have endeavored to plant as many different clones of Cabernet Franc and Chardonnay as realistically as possible, and then kind of isolate clones of where they are from in blocks. So the clones would be a blend of, let's say, some California heritage clones in 1 or 2 blocks. We have another block of Franciacorta and Champagne clones. And then, we're experimenting with Italian Cabernet Franc clones and things of that nature. And, our future plans, we're going to plant a block of a clone of Cabernet Franc from Cyprus, for example. And we just always thought, okay, we have a lot of variability, vintage to vintage. Maybe some clones that are acclimated to growing in California would be better in hotter years, as opposed to maybe the Burgundian style ones in a more consistently cool climate sort of years. So I was talking about the different clones and what our philosophy was behind the vineyard, Carl. So we got to the end there, and I just explained that our whole philosophy was, my wife and I like Chardonnay and Cabernet Franc, and those are our 2 loves. So we wanted to explore the vineyard through the lens of clones for those 2 grapes in particular, because we feel those are 2 of the most prominent grapes in Niagara. So and I was just giving
and that is so freaking amazing that you and me are Chardonnay brother here, okay? Because Chardonnay is my biggest passion in life.
I love it.
I just love how versatile and how winemaker friendly this grape varietal is. And so tell me, as a grower, but also as a Chardonnay lover, who had the biggest influence in the Niagara winemaking world to you, in the sense that, you're a big fan of certain producer. Do you have any love affair with certain brand?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, when we were first, I guess, when I was first getting into wine, like, my wife was the one who had introduced me specifically to like Niagara wines, and I remember one of the wines that opened, I guess, the whole world in a sense for me in that way, and it was still Hillebrand back there, Trias Hillebrand. It was a 2009 wild ferment Oliviera vineyard, which is a Lincoln Lakeshore vineyard too. Now it's called Watching Tree, but I absolutely love that wine. I couldn't believe that something was so, it felt so Canadian to me, man. It was like so autumnal, and it reminded me of, like, I don't know, maybe it's not the best description, but like when you're getting that basket of apples and it's starting to go in November, and there's a rotten one in there, or like the pumpkins falling apart after Halloween sitting on the front steps and stuff. And I don't know, man, like those a lot of 2009 Chards in Niagara were just incredible. Like, there's such long-lived wines even now. Like, they just have great structure. And I mean, another crazy thing was, like, I remember drinking Batchelder, even then when they had first started the little virtual thing, right? And I think it was after the Clos Jourdain, had kind of stopped making wine there, right? So I remember seeing that.
At the time that Thomas was doing, at the time that he was doing his Oregon and Burgundy and and Niagara project, he was all over the place, right?
Yeah, exactly. You know it, right? So I mean, even it was so crazy to go, in a sense, from like being a consumer, like learning about wine, trying these winemakers' wines, to like then like working with them one day. It's like, it's the most insane thing, man. Like, I'm telling you, Lena and I didn't even think, maybe 10, 11 years ago that this was going to be our life, man. It's you never know where life's going to take you. That's why wine is so much fun, man. It's just a reflection for life.
And in terms of growing, you guys have that sustainable mentality, or you guys are organic? Are you going for organic? Is it something truly viable in Niagara, the whole organic thing? Because I mean, at some point you need to stay. And let's be honest here. Let's cut off the bullshit, okay?
Yeah.
Because there's so much marketing side around all of that. Some are truly organic producer, and I fully respect that. There's
Yeah.
some certain region that if you want to stay in business, the complete organic program doesn't suit the model, because I mean it's not financially suitable. What's the vision at Mio Vineyard?
Yeah, I mean, I had the idea of, well, I was trying, uncertified organic growing at the very beginning of Mio Vineyard, and just in my opinion, that's not necessarily that's just not an approach that we can take anymore. You know what I mean? I was lucky because I also did this during the 2021 growing season, which ended up being like probably the worst harvest period in like the history of Niagara, right? Because we had like just unrelenting rains for the entire harvest pretty much. So yeah, it was, and everything was like falling apart and it was garbage. And yeah, it was. I don't know, man. Like we're in a spot where like we have obligations to our customers, and I think that if you're trying to do organics, like one, there's no scalability to it, right? I don't think it's a scalable business model. Two, if it was, I mean, if we didn't have other obligations, financial or to other customers, like why not? You know what I mean? If it's like we do our garden organically, right? And if I lose a plant like halfway through the year, or my cucumbers only give me one before all the beetles get it, or something like that, that's fine. I can always go to the store and get more. But like with grapes, it's a different situation. You know what I mean? So for what it's worth, we are certified sustainable, and there is a independent or quasi-independent certification body. What I think that differentiates us from other people, we just do so much hand labor, man. I don't think there's any substitute for doing things by hand, especially in viticulture. It's if you do it gently and diligently at the right time, I think you're going to mitigate a lot of the other factors that could limit your success grape growing in southern Ontario, because it's extremely challenging. Like the humidity is relentless. This is like, the origin of all your mildews and phylloxera, and we have so many pests and bugs that like other regions just do not have. And couple that with like, already challenging winter conditions and stuff. And anyway, for a whole host of reasons, like I can subsidize the cost of labor with my own time to make it more viable, right? And less expensive.
I mean, there's only 24 hours in the day, even for cornmeal. I mean, everyone, we only have 24 hours in the day. There's so much you can subsidize with that, right?
Correct. Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, no, you're totally right. So, I mean, if other people can make that work for them, great. I don't think it works for us very well, organics. But
no, I totally understand, and that's why I wanted to bring the point. I mean, that's simple, especially where you're located. Like, we talk about how challenging the winters are. We talk about the humidity. We talk about like there's many. What is the biggest strength of where you're located? I mean, the Lincoln Lakeshore right now, to my opinion, after the 20-mile bench, there's no other. Like, to me, it's the next Grand Cru vineyard location. It's the Lincoln Lakeshore. I absolutely love what Elias Essential does at the Central Vineyard. Everything from the Grimsby side, where you guys are located, Lincoln Lakeshore, right on the foothill of the escarpment. So, what is the biggest strength of that sub-appellation, and when you guys are located?
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I'll talk about my vineyard specifically. I won't necessarily talk to the whole appellation. I think there's a lot of variability in the appellation, right? So you have different soils, you have different
Which is
proximity.
a big appellation, true. Yeah, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
It's
it's the
pretty
biggest.
big as an
Yeah,
yeah.
it's the biggest appellation, right? I believe it's even bigger than 4 Mile Creek. Maybe don't quote me on that, but yeah, I believe it's the biggest. So, yeah, I think there's different pockets that do different things really well, and obviously your name drop in Grimsby Hillside and even Ilia Nadia's, and I think they have some really good drainage down where they are, which is definitely really solid, and their proximity to the lake, so it keeps maybe things a little bit more moderate. Where we are specifically in the Lincoln Lakeshore, we're like right in the heart of the Beamsville Bench, 20-mile bench area, like right where kind of those two benches meet, but on the lakeshore side. So we're literally like steps from the escarpment to our south. And what the biggest strength that comes from that is we're also 4 kilometers. We're 4 kilometers from Lake Ontario, right? So we're actually, even though we're on the lakeshore, we're further away. We're further away from the lake than a lot of your classic Beamsville bench wineries, like down like Saunders Vineyard is closer to the lake than us, and even Laclos, Rosewood, down in that area, their hidden bench might be around the same as us. But anyway, needless to say, we get a lot of heat in the summer. But because of where we're positioned against the escarpment, we have really good airflow. So in the winter, that is our biggest strength, is anything that is up against the escarpment, you can grow the tender varietals with limited winter damage. Just because we have it acts as a heat sink in the winter, right? And we're right to the foot of the escarpment, and then there's the Highway 8 is right there too. That area that's where you want to grow your really tender Merlots, your Syrahs, other things too, right?
It's like the convection. It's like a convection oven type of concept, right? The circulation of air.
Yeah, you're nailing it, Carl. Like that's the whole defining feature of the Niagara, peninsula, the Niagara escarpment itself, right? So we wouldn't be able to grow these tender fruits without the elevation and position of the escarpment relative to the lake. So in the winter, the warm water comes off the lake and then it hits the face of the escarpment and then falls down. So all that, that just insulates this tiny area just enough to protect it from those killing minus 25s that generally happen to Hamilton, Toronto, and the like, right, every year. So that is the one feature that I think is most advantageous. Being up against the escarpment, along King Street, if you're on the lakeshore side, that should also be, maybe considered its own, geographic feature. Maybe there's a case to be made down the road. I know that I've done some research, particularly in regards to the unique soil in that area, and also these features that I'm describing that maybe warrant further consideration from the rest of the lakeshore itself.
That's awesome. Thank you for that. Now let's talk about the collab group. Let's talk about the relationship. How you met with Mark Pfister and Jeff Moot. This is such an incredible group. These guys are amazing. What they've built. It's Niagara needed something like that, and I think it reflects the spirit of Niagara a lot. And how did it happen that you jumped on board and you decided to make your own wine? Is it something you had in mind prior to, and you're like, here is my opportunity, or how did that happen?
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. I mean, Lena and I we started our vineyard from scratch in 2019. It was all fallow, so we've been planting every year since. And some of those years, they were all COVID years, right? So it was really lonely. We didn't know anybody, right? We're outsiders. We had no prior, experience or any connections in the grape and wine industry whatsoever. So, it was a lonely time. And then, as our first blocks are coming into production, I need to find clients. I need to find homes for all these grapes, right? So, I figured, okay, well, I'll start an Instagram to kind of like promote it. I feel like that's going to be an advantageous way to just to like, here's a picture of this. Here's like this fun thing. And maybe people will see it and it'll grow from there. And that's, man, I can't tell you how many contacts we made just from like having a little social media, right? That's how I met Jeff for the first time. And then it just goes from there. It's like, you know, the butterfly effect. You never know where it's going to take you, right? So Jeff, we met through Instagram, and then, which is crazy to think about, but yeah, so, you know, he was interested in the grapes we were doing. And then once we met, and then he realized, oh, like, I think he thought, okay, well, this guy's a nerd like me, which will be great. And yeah, I can see like what he's doing and his ideas are, anyway, I think that's the way it went down. We met on Instagram, and then we started hitting it off, and we wanted to work together. And I mean, our goal long-term is to always have our own on-site farm winery, right? Like we want to have our own place on our farm. It's our home and our vineyard as well. But, you know, the opportunities came to be able to work with, you know, Mark and Jeff, of course, at Collab. And, you know, we wanted to, okay, you know what, we're gonna take a small step. We're gonna start our label. We're gonna start with one wine, and we'll go from there, right? I think that will buy us, you know, that'll start the ball rolling with some, you know, exposure to our wine brand and our style and getting our name out there. And it won't hurt if we have to go back to just selling the grapes too. At least people might know our name from other things, right? So, you know, we had spoken, and there was this project going on, Collab, right? So they're selective too. They're not just going to take any, you know, necessarily anybody, right? So we met with Mark, and yeah, I mean, we all hit it off. Like I think there's a lot of mutual respect, and they gave me the opportunity to be able to make wine out of their place, and we've been doing it now ever since, right? It's been about 3 years. This will be the fourth vintage, and
22 is the first vintage.
23
was your first vintage, or 23?
Yeah, 23, 24, 25, and then this year will be the fourth one. So
that's awesome. I love that story so much. And not only you had the potential to make your own brand, but also it's a great platform to offer your fruit, right? So I mean, now some of the other winemakers are dipping into your fruit pool and all that, and then it's become a big collaborative project from all of you guys.
Yeah. I don't think it hurts for them necessarily to have, you know, somebody in their network that has, you know, actually has their own vineyard, right? We're kind of a quasi-virtual winery in that way, right? Like at least we always have access to grapes, so we never have to worry about that. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know. It's it helps, like if there's extra grapes or things that we can work with, and you know, we're all flexible and want to make it work for all of us, right? So I don't know, maybe we're kind of like the Avengers, like everyone brings their own superpower to the table, you know what I mean? So
yeah, and on the other side you have the full marketing arm, and so some platform to sell the product, because I mean, you grow grape, you got someone who makes wine, but you need to sell the darn thing, right? so for you to have the marketing arm with the collab, I mean, like you guys are like that group is just so amazing to hear the whole story, the full circle of everything.
Yeah, it's it's a really great little program, and I met so many cool people through it, and yeah, just grateful that you know, they're still allowing us to continue making wine there.
So I have 3 wines that we want to talk about, and let's start because I'm geeking out. Like while we're talking, I have the Chardonnay here. That's the new 2024 Chardonnay. It's so expressive. The nose is just so beautiful. And like we talked earlier, I'm a Chardonnay slut. Okay.
Oof.
I absolutely
talk dirty to me, Carl. Talk dirty.
Lose my mind on good Chardonnay. And that note is so expressive. Let's come back to Chardonnay in a minute, okay? I want to start with the Marsanne. 2024 Marsanne. I want to know, okay, because I've never asked a question to a grower, the difference of growing Marsanne versus growing Chardonnay. Is this, for you, in the Lincoln Lake Shore, complete different process, or all the grapes are distinctive in the vineyard? How do they react differently? Tell me a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah, so Marsanne is actually my favorite grape to grow. I wish, like, I feel like it's so underrated, man, for all the other growers too. I think that they would probably take a chance if they maybe had a base of, a wineries to sell to, but there's not too many people that are making it or maybe interested in it. Anyway, for me, it's great. It works so well with a lot of the climatic conditions that we have. It's really late budding, so it buds like around the same time as Cab Sauv, so you don't really have to worry about frost. It crops really well, and the clusters are they're really loose and open, so you don't really have a lot of mildew pressure on the actual cluster. You'll have some downy in the canopy, for example, but Chardonnay is completely different. It's very powdery susceptible because generally tighter clusters, even if you like remove leaves in the fruit zone and stuff like that, right? So yeah, Marsanne is just such a beauty to grow. It's got a pretty, short ripening window relative to its budding and everything like that. So you'll harvest it around the same time as Chard. It depends the style you're looking for. I also feel that it's very similar in terms of how you want to make it. It could be a winemaker's grape. There's some people that maybe want to push the minerality and keep it leaner, leave a lot more a lot more leaves in the fruiting zone to like shade it, because it does tend to lose some of its acidity, but losing acidity is not necessarily something that Niagara has to really worry about, like, ever. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, yeah. So,
this specific one, it's co-fermented with Viognier. So
yeah,
you have Marsanne, you have Viognier right next to it. You harvest all together and you press
yes.
together.
Yeah, 100%. So what we wanted to do was I always liked the blend of the two when I had tried them previously. So I thought that what Marsanne lacked, Viognier kind of compensated for, which was namely like maybe more, flamboyant aromatics and maybe a little bit different texture, right? So we planted one row of Viognier, and I always, with the intention of making this wine. So everything was always done with intention. It's not like we have a block of Viognier. It's one row, and I always wanted to co-ferment it with the Marsanne. So in order to really amplify the Viognier, I crop it to one cluster a shoot, and then we pick them both at the same time, because Viognier would be normally maybe a bit later ripening than the Marsanne, for example, right? But I can get around that.
By keeping one bunch of shoot, all of the energy goes all in one, and it gets ready at the same time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, or maybe yeah. It definitely does get ready at the same time when you can do it like that. So yeah, that was the spirit of planting those and doing that wine. I thought Marsanne was like Chardonnay adjacent, but it had its own characteristics. And one of our neighbors across the street is a Q vineyard. So they were the first ones to plant it in Ontario, and they were sort of the inspiration for that. I'm like, well, if they're 500 meters away and can grow it successfully, then why can't we, right? And here we are.
And you know what? And to be honest with you, I'm seeing more and more Viognier coming out. I had a conversation with Ali and Jess Openlander this week. We're talking about Sauvignon Blanc, which the Sauvignon Blanc is just skyrocketing in popularity right now. Definitely from our fan base, we see a lot of demand for Sauvignon Blanc. And I was telling the girls, I said, you know what? More and more in the last 2 to 3 years, I'm tasting every year more Sauvignon Blanc, but also more Viognier coming up from Niagara. And I see the quality rising up on a yearly basis, how Viognier from Niagara come out on its own.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think those Rhone varieties haven't necessarily been explored as much. I think there's some early pioneers that tried to do it and maybe had a couple of bad winners then and lost a lot, and they're like, this doesn't work here, and then wrote it off. But I think there's pockets where it could be tremendously successful. Again, as alluding to earlier when I spoke about the feature of where we are specifically, being right up against the escarpment, we have that good airflow, and it's slightly warmer in the depths of the coldest depths of the winter. So I haven't seen like any sort of significant winter injury in the Marsanne. Yields can be variable year to year, sure, but I'm not talking like vine death of any appreciable amount so far. So
Oh, that's cool. So,
Yeah.
and it's all fermented in neutral oak.
No, there's definitely new. Yeah, I think I used the new punch. That's 24. Yeah, you have 24, right,
Yeah,
Marsanne?
24.
Yeah,
Yeah,
24.
yeah.
Yeah, we used one new. Well, I only use French oak, but there's a new French oak punch in that one, and then I think there's a combination of neutral and maybe a bit of stainless steel for a portion of that as well. So
Yeah, because I can feel it. There's that a little bit of new oak coming in, uh, and the texture. I mean, a blend because Viognier will usually bring a lot of texture in the wine, but there's also the barric, the barrel texture that I pick up as well. It's generous in the oak spice, but very well integrated. So I really like the delivery of that. I give that wine 92 points, Corey. I think this is a unique style with the oak, the spice, the texture for Niagara. I really like the delivery of it. I took that wine to a winery last week, and I blind tasted a bunch of winemaker from the Okanagan,
yeah.
and it was so much fun to see their reaction. First and foremost, no one picked up Marsanne. I had a few people who talked about Viognier and this and that. They were like, "What the fuck is that?" I was like, "Niagara Marsanne." They were like, "Fuck you."
That's awesome.
It was
Thank you so much
awesome.
for sharing. Yeah, that's a cool story, man.
Yeah, it was really, really cool. I love that wine. 92 points, Carl's Wine Club. We're talking around the 20, 30, $35, I believe.
Yeah, 33 retail. Yes.
33 retail. So absolutely stunning. I love that. Like I mentioned, from the texture to the finish, but there's also a nice acidity. And the alcohol is not overly done. So I like the balance. Well done, Corey. Uh, good job. Are you involved in the winemaking from A to Z, or is Mark and Jeff help you with the winemaking? How's that work on that side?
Yeah, 100%. So it was in the beginning, it was me and Jeff that kind of just had like a meeting and reverse engineer the style of wines we wanted to make because I think I have a cursory understanding of how to make wine, but he's definitely the technical expert, right? So I can vocalize like what I hope to achieve, and he can in turn tell me what I guess the implications of those winemaking choices would be if we do them, right? So I tend to think of what Lena and I do is maximalist in the vineyard and maximally intervening in the vineyard to grow very good grapes and very minimal intervention in the cellar, right? So we're not
Maximal
reinventing the wheel.
intervention in the vineyard, minimal intervention in the winemaking. I fucking love that line. That's awesome.
Thanks. Yeah. So yeah, I would say generally, like we're right there sorting on the crush pad. We bring the grapes, we get everything going, help clean, you know what I mean, help press, and then beyond that, a lot of it's being delegated to whoever's at the winery and can help, right? So we'll do batonnage, and I mean, we live half an hour away from Marinus in one way, right? So I'm not gonna drive out there every day to do batonnage for 5 minutes to come home, right? So a lot of that, some of those jobs are left to the guys at Collab, but we know stylistically beforehand what exactly we're going to do for the grapes to make the wine, and that those decisions all fall on Lena and myself to make, and those guys to fulfill, right? Then we'll usually be around. I'll be there to taste through the barrels throughout the winter, see where they're at as I have time. And we'll definitely be doing blending sessions and things like that, depending on the SKUs and how much volume we have. And then we're there for bottling. And yeah, I mean, we're involved, but we're not doing every single winemaking thing, right? So
Okay, we got to move on to the Chardonnay because man,
let's do
I've
it.
been, my attention's going completely side. My nose is in the glass. There's so much coming at me. Uh, oh man, I love that. I love that. First, okay, my initial score is 93 points, and it's the entry level. It's not the Primo. I tasted the Primo. I would say a couple months ago, Judy told me there's only 12 bottles of Primo left, which
Yeah.
I rated the Primo 94 points. I thought the Primo was fucking killer. Now,
Thank you.
I
Love it.
love, there's something who really, really gets me when I take as a wine taster. It's when the price point, then the wine completely outmatch the price point. That's really, to me, that's where my score starting to come in. I have a hard time with the wine who under deliver the price point. It's something to me like this this wine at $33 retail. I think that's the price, right? With the yellow label.
Yeah, it's 35 for this one. Yeah, in this year, yes.
This is killer Chardonnay, a killer Chardonnay. And it's so cool because I just got back from Burgundy. Okay, we spent 2 weeks in Burgundy, and one of the first line behind the label, I see Corton-Charlemagne, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute here, this wine man over delivers. I want to talk about your philosophy in Chardonnay. Okay, you're definitely a barrel guy. I smell it, I taste it, I enjoy it, I appreciate it. To me, the non-oak Chardonnay went way too far.
Yeah.
The pendulum went from very far oaky, not good quality oak quality to not enough oak, to my opinion. And now I see the pendulum coming back, and oh fuck, what's in my glass is so cool right now. Tell me about your philosophy of what you try to do with this label, and after that, let's talk about the Primo.
Yeah, so that's like our normal Chardonnay, just like our every year release, and I'd say the Primo is the one that's different. But yeah, Chardonnay, like I was saying earlier, I really want to explore the vineyard through the lens of clones. So we have like 7 different blocks of Chardonnay and over those blocks we have like 14 clones now of Chardonnay from all over the world. Italian Franciacorta clones and California heritage clones. You said the Corton-Charlemagne. That's a very rare clone that has a whole backstory I could tell you about for the next 10 minutes. But it did come from a Grand Cru, Louis Latour vineyard in the Corton-Charlemagne, and then traveled from there. And How did
you get your hand on that clone? How did you get your hand on that cuttings?
Well, I was there's a nursery that propagated it and that we could get it from, right? But a lot of these clones just have numbers, right? And it takes a lot of work to find out what the story is behind them, because the nurseries just give you a catalog essentially, or if that, right? But for me, I was always interested. Well, what does this mean? What is this? Where does this come from? Why? I just had a lot of questions. So I was able to piece together like some historical documents, right? This clone, this Foundation Plant Services clone 48, but I call it the Corton-Charlemagne clone because that's where it's from. It was imported, Far Niente winery in California.
Yeah, I sure do. I sure do know them very well. Nickel and Nickel, they're entry level, and you go to Far Niente for their top notch, for their top line.
Bingo. So Far Niente worked with the grandson of Louis Latour, who was their viticultural director in like the late 70s, early 80s. And he gave them cuttings through the university, the UC Davis, that's where the Foundation Plant Services is in California. Anyway, they worked together to import vines from the hill of Corton, Corton-Charlemagne, to bring so that they could have proper Burgundian nursery stock when they replanted their vineyards in Rutherford. So this went through like years of virus testing and indexing before it could be released, because there's a quarantine period when you were importing grapevines from Europe, right? And it's the same in Canada as it was in the US, right? So eventually Far Niente went from like a $10 bottle of wine in the mid 80s to, once they had that, proper vineyard going, yeah, $100 plus a bottle, right? By like the 90s. So I always thought there was a good business case at the very worst to try and plant this clone. You know what I mean? And then I just watched videos. I put the story together because I found the original import documents, and then I pieced everything together as to what it was, and put the story. And I was like, "Fuck, this sounds like something that we really should plant in our vineyard. Like it sounds really cool." And yeah, I mean, from everything that I've read and have heard, and you know, through it, it's performing as advertised. There's so much mid-palate density and richness. It is so generous, and just a beautifully structured Chardonnay in that way.
I mean, it's a full body, but the Niagara acidity keeps everything up there. And one thing that I like is the mineral finish. There's a nice minerality on the finish, almost a little bit of saltiness here on my lip as well. This is, you mentioned, to me, the one word that comes, it's generous, full, but not overdone. It is, oh, I really like it. 30% new oak. So thank you for that. Thank you for that.
My pleasure. Yeah.
$35. I mean, this is awesome. And you know, like you're at 30% alcohol on the dot, I believe, on the 24. So I mean, there's body. It's not heavy. There's even it's still dancing. There's energy in there. So I love it. I love it. You nailed it across the board.
So glad you love
so
it.
the difference between the Sempre Mio and the Primo is with the Primo you do barrel selection, or do you do a pre-selection in the vineyard to start saying, okay, these couple rows are going in Sempre Mio, or you harvest, you barrel separately, and you do a barrel selection for your top?
Yeah, no, for Primo, that Primo 2023 Primo Chardonnay, it was just a happy accident, man. Like we grow and process all of the main cuvee the same way. And when this was the very first wine we made, right? Was the 4 barrels of Chardonnay. When we were going at the end of to do some assemblage before bottling, and even throughout the process, I always thought, well, this barrel is kind of going and it has a different profile than the other ones, right? And they were all neutral barrels that we were using that first year. So I just was like, man, there's something about this. So I took samples to Lena first to ask her what she thought, and I did a little assemblage of the other 3, and then I would ask Jeff and Mark and some other friends as well, and just kind of put it together and say, hey, like, are these two distinct separate wines, right? And the consensus was, this one is its own thing. And I thought, okay, we don't want to be like one of those egotistical sort of winemakers, like, or wine brands, like, oh, we're coming onto the scene. Here's our reserve. It's we've earned it and blah, blah. No, I mean, it was truly just, these were processed the exact same way. Maybe it was a different part of the wild ferment. I have no idea why. We love this one barrel. We thought there's no need. We would have lost something if we would have just blended it with the rest. The rest of the yellow, label cuvee would have been great, but we would lose part of the magic if we didn't. So we made the decision to make a single barrel. It's just a single barrel wine. And we don't have a reserve. We call it the Primo. It means my best. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. I give 94 points to the Primo. I thought it's rare, but it's also, there was more precision in the Mio. Definitely, to me, it was more precise. The edges were more defined. And the lingering at the end is just like kept going and going and going. And I mean, I already mentioned multiple times, I love the generosity of that. But definitely the Primo was more pinpoint. Yeah. Is it correct of my assessment of what I tasted?
No, yeah, I think you're right. Like the Primo, for me, it reminded Lena and I of like our favorite, like classic Niagara Chardonnays, like high-end single vineyard Chardonnays. And we thought it belonged, and it spoke to our home. Like I feel like the generosity of the yellow label, what you're having now, that's us. That's our style. There's flamboyance, and it's forward, and it's fun. And the Primo, I just thought we just knew it. We just knew it was special and needed to be bottled on its own. And that would be the main difference between the two wines that I would say. So
you said it's 1 barrel
correct, the Primo, yes.
and 23 vintage for the Primo. I noticed, okay, and I've been talking to a lot of our members who are Chardonnay fanatic as well. 23 vintage for Chardonnay is just absolutely exceptional.
Yeah.
Chardonnay that I tasted from Niagara from the 23, all blown, like they're so amazing. And I mean, for certain winery, I taste their Chardonnay every single year. And 23, like, geez, there's some precision there. There's a uniqueness of the 23 vintage. Do you agree with that?
I loved that year, man. It was just as like a consumer, it hit so many of the boxes for me. Like I feel like certain years give you different things, and that's the variability of growing in Southern Ontario, and you learn to accept it on the East Coast, right? But 23, it had the old bones. That's the way I call it, or at least the way I feel about it. It had so much structure. The growing season, it was very, very long, and we held acidity so late into the year, so we got really good phenolic ripeness without sacrificing, our sugars getting too high and our acids getting too low. So I feel like that entire, parabola of variables that you're trying to nail in a harvest window was pushed later, and it made for just such incredible wines that I think will be really long lived as a vintage in Niagara. I love the wines that have come out of that year.
Yeah, I
Very
tasted
much.
Jeff. Yeah,
Sorry, they reminded me
Jeff.
of the.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. You reminded you.
They reminded me of those 09 wines that made me fall in love with wine. And
there you go. 23 and 09. There's the connection here.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I tasted Jeff Frontier Block 23, and I fell in love right away on the first sniff. Also, Black Bank Hill 23 Chardonnay is absolutely outstanding. So yeah, I've been tasting around right now, and the 23 Chardonnays are fantastic. Your Primo is really, really good. Yeah, so that's the trio we have. Only 12 bottles of the Primo though. But this, I want to sell you out of that. Please, and I love that 24. It's just so plus. How many cases did you make of the Primo here? Of the Sempre Mio here?
Oh, not many. About 40, 45. Yeah, and I'm selling through it pretty fast. So there's I think only maybe like 25 to 30 left. And I just released this in like the last week or so. So
wow. Okay, so we got to get on it right away. Okay, so three wines. Sempre Mio 23. The Sempre Mio. Let's do it again. The Primo Mio 23.
Yeah.
Sempre Mio 24 and the Marsanne 24. That's the three wine that we have. Corey, man, you and me can talk for 2.5 to 3 hours, and I won't see the time goes by, man. I love these conversations. I love chatting with you. I didn't even touch on your relationship with the BC, and let's spend 2 minutes before we go, okay? 2024 was the first year here in British Columbia. As we all know by now, the vintage got wiped out at 97%. Most of our wineries, we took some steps trying to connect wineries between Niagara and the Okanagan. It didn't really work out, but you had a great relationship with David Patterson at Tantalus, and you and David made a collaborative wine, correct?
Yeah, well, I'd say my relationship is with Scott, actually. Scott Woody is he's the glue guy,
yes.
So yeah, I mean, the opportunity came up where I think Scott was trying to really advocate and push, push the guys to work with Ontario fruit, man, to work within Canada, and I think that to his credit, I think David was really amenable to that idea and really was patriotic, and he also wanted to do that, right? So yeah, the opportunity came up, and I spoke with Scott and parts of the team, and I just showed them, this is what I do, man. Here are some examples, and this is what I'm capable of, and I would love to work with you guys. We just need to come up with a plan, right? And tell me how I'm going to make this work with you, because I wanted to make it work with them. And then, yeah, it came together. They did the logistical hurdles that they've had to jump through have been incredible to be able to do this at all, And yeah, I'm forever grateful, man, and really proud. I'm proud that they did the hard thing. They didn't do the easy thing. And I think we ended up making a really good wine together. I can only own the part of the grapes, but 2024 had its challenges as well. And I worked really hard to give them my best effort. And I think
I tasted the wine. I tasted the wine, Corey. The wine is awesome. I really liked it, and I have to thank John Daniel for getting me a bottle of that a couple months ago. I really, really like that. Corey, we love what we do across the board. Thank you for sharing, first, your wine, second, your passion, third, your knowledge with us. You're a fucking cool dude. I want to meet in person with you when I'll be in Niagara next. I want to crack a bottle with you. I'm going to bring some BC wine as well, so we can share some of a great conversation over a couple of hours if you're available.
Anytime, Carl. You and Mira are always welcome at our farm, man. Anytime you want to visit. And we got guest rooms. Hey, you don't got to go far. So we can have more than one bottle. We can have 3 bottles. Compare.
That's it. That's it. I'm going to be there in September. So I have some private tasting that I'm doing in Quebec and in Ontario as well. I'm going to be back and forth almost all September. So I want to make a point to do it. Let's do it. I know you're going to be busy in September. Harvest's around the corner, but I think we'll have time to share a couple bottles. Okay.
Hey, we'll have time. And if you come, then I also get help harvesting too. So that'll be nice.
That's it. You got it. Hey, I really appreciate your time, Corey. You have a good rest of your day. And this is Mio Vineyard. This is Sempre Mio. We have Chardonnay. We have Marsanne. We have Primo Mio on Chardonnay as well. Only 12 bottles. Guys, don't miss that. Corey, thank you. Have a good rest of your day, okay?
Thank you for the chat, and thank you for everything that you do for the Canadian wine industry, Carl. And Mira.
Thanks to you, my friend. No, let's not forget Mira, because I won't be sitting here if she was not there. So
yeah. Same for Lena. So
thanks, my friend. You have a good one.
You have a good one. Bye, Carl's Wine Club.
Thank you.